Hey folks, good afternoon to everybody. It's great to see some familiar faces and some new faces. It's good to put faces to the names. So I'm Shauna McClenaghan with the Inishowen Development Partnership. So I'm delighted to be here this afternoon. So I'm delighted to be able to check in with Mary, and we're delighted that Mary has offered her support to the project here this afternoon. And it's a great, what I see as a CPD opportunity for us. So so thank you for that. And thanks to Karen for touching base with Mary and getting that opportunity for us. And both John and Karen are part of this project, as all of you will know that, I'm sure. So thank you for that. So I'm just looking forward to checking in with everybody, and looking forward to the afternoon session. So I don't want to take up too much time. So okay. So I don't know if people want to just introduce themselves, or what way did you want to do that, Karen?
Yeah, well, if we start, I suppose, with Mary, if Mary can just say your name first, and then you can give us a bit more of an intro to yourself when you start your session. But if you could we'll just go around the room. So we'll start with Mary.
Great, okay.
Hi, everybody. Great to see you all. I'm Mary McKenna, and I'm based here in Greencastle in Inishowen.
Lovely, thanks, Mary. Okay, Ailish.
Hi everyone, I'm Ailish Irvine and I'm based in Kilchma in Mayo.
Lovely, welcome Ailish. Okay, Brian. You might have to unmute, Brian. Yeah, oh, sorry, we're muting
each other. Hi everyone, my name is Brian O'Neill and I'm based in Derry City.
Lovely, thanks Brian. Okay, Carleen.
Hi everyone, I'm Carleen Nuttall. I am based in Carndonagh.
Right, welcome Carleen. Brigida.
Hi, I'm Brigida Kelly and I'm generally based in Buncrana but temporarily based out of Clonmany at the moment.
Okay, welcome Brigida. John.
Hi everyone, how's things? John Logue from DLDC based in Letterkenny.
Thanks John. Evelyn.
Hi, Evelyn here from Evelyn McMarketing. I'm based in Ballybofey.
Lovely, Evelyn. Denise.
Hi everybody, I'm Denise McCool. I work at IDP. I am normally in Buncrana, but today I'm in sunny Carn. So good to see you all again. Since the interviews, it's been a while.
Thanks, Denise. Okay, Shane.
Hello.
Yeah.
My name's Shane Kirby and I'm also based in sunny Carn.
Lovely. Enda? Oh, sorry. You don't. Okay, go ahead again, Enda.
Hi, Enda here, based in Letterkenny.
Okay, you're a bit on the low side, Enda. Maybe you could turn up your volume if you can.
Yeah, no bother.
Lovely. Brilliant. Thank you. Okay, Barbara.
Hi, Barbara Cahill. I am based here in Letterkenny.
Okay, welcome, Barbara.
Thanks.
John Joe.
Hi, I'm George McGinley, currently trying to work out how we get my video to work, and I'm in Gweedore.
Okay, keep working on it, John. Okay, hi, Nicola. Okay, Nicola, can you unmute my function? Yeah, good, thanks.
And Nicola here, just based in Donegal town. Thank God I'm not unmuted very often because I have 4 kids under 5 here in the background. So if you hear roars, you know it's me.
That's okay. That's allowed. Minds are warned. Okay, thanks, Nicola. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks everybody. I'm going to actually hand you over to Mary now. Mary will give you an introduction to herself, to some top tips. She'll talk for probably around 10 minutes. Would that be fair, Mary? And then we have the opportunity to pick her brains. I can't wait. Over to you, Mary.
Great. Nice to be here with all of you today. And some of you I do already know, and some of you I've never met before. So it's great to meet you. And well done, everybody around the table, around the screen, who's a mentor, because it's kind of one of the really good things that everybody should do. So, you know, everybody should have a mentor, but everybody should try and be a mentor too, because everybody has got something that they can offer to somebody else, I suppose. And I've been doing this for a long, long time with Karen, actually. I was thinking about this today, that we were actually out and about the Donegal countryside on the day that John Peel died. And I checked that today to see when that was, and it was the 25th of October, 2004. So Karen, we've been kind of at this a long time, and it's always great fun. So I thought that I would start off by just telling you a little bit about myself. I'm a technology entrepreneur. I started a business called Learning Pool in Derry about 14 years ago. I sold my half of that business about 5 years ago, and I do a lot of mentoring, but it's mainly with individual entrepreneurs and startup founders, usually on the tech side of things. And I know that the organizations that you're mentoring are all quite different from each other, so forgive me, but what I'm going to talk about today is more sort of generic stuff, you know. So I had a look and to see what is mentoring, and the definition that's given is that it is a trusted counselor or guide, and it's a lot of it is about personal relationships that you have to build, based on certainly building trust with the person or the organization at the beginning is very, very important. And it is about transferring your knowledge or experience from you to another person. And I would also sort of add into that I think that networking is probably a key part of what you all do as mentors as well, because often people don't know about the networks and things that you know about. And so part of that relationship is in telling people about networks that exist, or it's also about maybe opening doors for them to people that are within your network, that you can make introductions for them too. And so I did a little bit of I had a look to see, because there's a lot of confusion about sort of what's mentoring, what's coaching, and what is training, because they're all kind of different. They're all different things. So as you probably all know, coaching tends to be more specific and task or goal focused. For example, maybe teaching somebody how to manage a team performance better, you know, something that you can teach them that is time bound, there's a start, a middle and an end to it. Whereas mentoring is a sort of a wider offer. It's often for longer periods of time. Some of the mentoring that I might do with people could be just a single coffee and a chat, but at the other end of the scale, there are people that I've been mentoring and have a mentoring relationship with for years, that maybe just sort of comes and goes a bit. And probably my own mentor is someone that has been mentoring me for 20 years. Not obviously not every day or anything like that, but he is a person that if I'm struggling with something or need a bit of guidance with whatever, I would lift the phone and ring him. So it's a sort of a relationship that maybe does extend for a long time, and which the mentee usually can reignite. And I think that's it's kind of an interesting idea, really. And I suppose, and all of you will have found this in your own interactions, the first thing that you need to do is build some trust, because it's quite likely that the mentee might feel a bit vulnerable or a bit nervous about sharing their challenges or their business problems with you. And I also think that mentoring differs from coaching in that it's about a long-term improvements. And so you could be talking to them about something that is related to today, but it might also be something that they're going to put into practice later on in their career, or later on, maybe when they've got a different job in the future, so that's something to sort of keep in mind too. And I think coaching is more to do with the coach being an expert and being the more sort of dominant person in the relationship. They're teaching somebody how to do something, and at the end of it, it's over. Often the coaches are, paid life coaches and things like that. Usually with mentoring, it's a bit more of a relationship, and it's a bit more about give and take, both parties contributing and both parties hopefully taking something away from it, and then I also had a look to see some of the things that mentoring is not, and I'm sure that all of you as experienced mentors will know all these things, but as we already said, it's not coaching or training. It's not passive. This is important. It requires both parties to engage and for both parties to communicate with each other and to be prepared to learn things. It's not therapy. This is also an important one. It's careful to not get bogged down in somebody's personal issues and troubles. I think it's okay to address this briefly as part of the initial conversations that you have, but you shouldn't let it become, the only thing that you talk to somebody about, definitely. It's not a one-way street. As we said, both parties have to be open to learning. And it's not the answer to everything. It's not a cure-all. It's just one of the many supports, I guess, or that are available to people, and sort of part of a mix of other supports that people might avail themselves of. And so I have some top tips for you, and I've got some links that I'm going to share with you so that you can read some of these in more detail later on. So my top tips are as follows. Number one is that you should treat every mentee assignment differently. You should approach each one as a unique interaction, because people are all different and everybody's got a different style of doing things. The second one is that at the first meeting, mentor-mentee meeting that you have, you should together agree what your expectations are and how you are going to be able to manage outcomes and success. So if you don't do that, well, you all know this, if you don't do that, you never know if you're making any progress. The third thing is that you should take some interest in your mentee as a person. You will have a better interaction and relationship with them if you actually find out what it is that makes them tick. I think that's an important one too. And part of that is around active listening. And I've got a link to send you over. I'm going to put it up on the chat in a minute around some details. I haven't got time right now to go into active listening, but I mean, it's something that we should all do more of, I suppose. Number four is you shouldn't feel obliged to give feedback or advice immediately. And indeed, sometimes it is better if you go off and reflect on something yourself, or because you might not know the answer and you need to go off and do a little bit of research about it and find out what the details are and come back to somebody, and that's okay. You shouldn't make any assumptions, particularly if this is a new mentor-mentee arrangement. You shouldn't half listen to somebody and then seize upon what they've said and immediately try and relate that back to something else that has happened to you. That's a really bad way to do this. You should, it's dangerous to do that actually. You should, I mean, it's good to relate to situations, but the way that you should do it is you should let the person actually tell you what the issue is, and you should find out more about that by asking more and more questions and digging a bit deeper until you have the outline of what it's about. Number 6, I think it's really useful if you're willing to maybe share some mistakes that you might have made over the years and in your own things that you've had a challenge with and how you've gone about resolving that yourself. And that maybe helps a new person to feel a bit more comfortable opening up to you about some of the challenges that they're facing. You should celebrate the wins. Sometimes it can get a bit negative. I used to run for the past 2 years, I used to run a Back for Business round table in the Northwest for people that had moved back to Ireland and started a business. for the Department of Foreign Affairs. And we used to start off every one of our monthly get-togethers by going around the table and everybody saying something good that had happened to them in the previous month. So I think, you know, celebrating the wins is always a really good thing to do. You should take note of any areas that your mentee has perhaps expressed an interest in finding out more about, and see if you can bring them some opportunities for them to get that experience in a more practical way. That's a kind of a nice thing to do, I think. And you should approach the relationship at the very beginning as if it's going to last forever, because that way you'll give people advice that is more suited to their own sort of like long-term requirements, I guess. And the last one on my list is you should lead by example. So, you know, conduct the meetings in a way in which you do it in a very professional manner, because a mentee will look to you for guidance on how you do things, and they'll probably copy it. So make sure that you show a good example. And I'm going to finish with, I had a look for some quotes about mentoring, and I found a really nice quote here. It's from, everybody knows the US President Jimmy Carter. This is actually from his wife, Rosalind Carter. And it says the following, or Rosalind says the following: a leader takes people where they want to go. A great leader takes people where they don't necessarily want to go, but ought to be. And now, you know, she's 92 years old, Jimmy's 95 years old, so we have to agree that they're probably doing something right. So that's my top tips for you. I hope you like them, and I'm looking forward to hearing everybody's questions. Thanks, Karen.
Brilliant, Mary, that's fab. Thank you so million. That was great. Thanks, Denise. Has anybody got any questions for Mary? Mary, I'm going to unmute your mic so that you have it available, okay? Anybody, any questions for Mary?
Or for anybody else in the group?
Or for, yeah, don't be shy.
You have to ask some, otherwise it's going to be a very short call.
Sorry, Enda, did you have your hand up? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I suppose just one of the things, just in terms of success, and if you're kind of a mile apart in what you think is success and what the group you're looking with looks like success, have you any experience or anything of working in that type of setting before, or anything like that you have any advice on?
Can you give me, without saying who it is, can you give me a little bit more context?
So if it's for example, a cafe, and they want to drive awareness around it, and you're coming
so
from
like a marketing sort of
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So your KPI is, okay, we want to get X amount of coverage, and that really doesn't mean anything to them. Then how, I suppose, do you show to them that this is the right path and it's successful and it's what they should be doing? Showing them that, I suppose, as opposed to actually forcing them into it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, so I would suggest that you maybe make some comparisons with other similar types of organizations that you think, you know, that you think that they'll be able to relate to, who you think are doing this really well. And like, they must be able to see that there's a correlation between improving how they're doing their marketing and profile building and having more customers and therefore generating more revenue. You know, it makes sense, doesn't it? Yep. So I think showing examples or thinking about examples, and maybe I don't know if it's possible in the way that all of you work together, but is it possible that you could maybe broker some introductions with somebody else that does something quite similar to them, and let them hear from the horse's mouth almost how they went about getting their marketing up and running?
Okay, thank you. And does that answer your question?
Yep, spot on.
Lovely, thank you. Okay, we have a question here from Carleen.
Hi, Carleen.
You can say it yourself, Carleen. It's good to get it into the chat though, so that we have that we keep track of them coming in. Go ahead. Oh, you've done mute. Yeah,
So I was just wondering if you have some mentees who might be a little bit fearful of doing anything new, for a fear of making mistakes or a fear of being appearing to be too pushy. I was wondering if you had any guidance that you could give somebody who was facing.
Yeah, you see, a lot of my mentees tend to be really pushy anyway. They just are, because it's the nature of what they do. As if they're starting out in the tech world, you know, they generally are quite pushy.
With the social enterprises that we're doing,
yeah, they tend to be a bit
socially aware, or you know, worried about putting other people out.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that the whole, I mean, for the stuff that you guys are doing, I think that building the trust part at the beginning is even more important, probably. And I guess that they are all, they all accept that they do need some help with some things. Otherwise, they wouldn't be part of the program that you're all part of. So I think that it's, you know, I think you probably just need to take it a bit more slowly, Carleen, and not be too, you know, not to scare the horses too much yourself, probably.
Okay, yeah.
Have you got any more context?
So I think that with the social enterprises, because they're usually working with volunteers or maybe a committee, some ideas that they might want to push forward and that they need to kind of push forward will mean that they'll have to put their themselves a little bit you know, more in front of other people, which isn't a natural, which isn't like a comfortable position for them.
Yeah. So, early days, do you sort of all go through with people what their values, boundaries are, and things like that, both personally and for the organisations that they're part of? I mean, you're right. Social entrepreneurs are different.
Values and boundaries, or values boundaries?
Well, you know, the sort of the values that people would work within as part of what they're doing in their social business. So there'll be certain things that they really don't buy into. You know, I have this when working with charities and whatever. There's, you know, revenue can be a bit of a dirty word, and nobody really wants to be very pushy in terms of making money, you know, or making profits, until they kind of, it sort of clicks with them that that is a way of them being able to offer more services or to extend their sustainability and stuff like that, you know.
Yeah, okay. So maybe reframing some of the
reframing is a really good way to put that. Yeah.
Where they look at things. No, that's really useful.
Thanks, Carleen. I think Barbara makes quite a good point around the relationship. You know, that it's we can't give them and the impression that it's a longer term relationship. If I could answer that, and I could bring John in, I think the relationship probably is between them and IDP and them and DLDC over the longer term, and this is a step towards that. Would you agree, John? Sorry, you've done mute, John. Yeah, sorry.
Look, yeah, realistically, we're within 15 to 18 hours. It's not reasonable to expect something over the long term. So yeah, I think it's more about getting a good understanding with them, and then allowing us to build the rapport going forward, then with a solid understanding of what their issues are and how we might address them.
Does that answer your question, Barbara? Yeah. Does that make sense to you, Mary?
Kind of. No, not really. I think that you need to think about your own reasons for offering mentoring. I guess that you guys do receive payment for doing this sort of stuff. You know, what I do, I never get paid for it. It's completely altruistic. But people will come back to me years and years after I've had no interaction with them at all. People will suddenly pop up and might send me a little note over on LinkedIn saying, I'm doing this. It's something we talked about 5 years ago. Will you have a look at it, whatever? And I always say yes to them, because I'm just not going to turn people away. So I think you have to examine your own motivations for being a mentor. And for me anyway, it has to go beyond financial reward. There has to be something within you where you actually want to do this and you want to have a relationship with a person. You know, it isn't a transactional thing in my mind at all.
Okay, thank you. Okay, anyone else? No? Oh, yeah, sorry. Okay, Eilish.
I was just going to ask about Mary's own mentor. If after 20 years, does somebody morph into your friend, or are they still capable of giving you constructive advice? And what characteristics does your mentor have?
He is a friend of mine, but I would go to him when I need somebody to be really honest with me about something that I want to do, and I would know that he is going to tell me what he thinks. When I was in the midst of selling my business, he was the person that I turned to when nobody else would really, there wasn't anybody else that I would really tell any of those secrets to, but I knew that he would be the person that would give me the honest advice. After 20 years, do you know what? I can almost work out in my own head before I have the conversation with him what he's going to say. So I could do both parts myself, but it's not as much fun, is it? Do you know, this is what I also mean about lead by example. The guy that's my mentor, I could probably like write a document or do something or give other people advice or whatever that would be, I know 100% exactly the same as what he would say or he would write, because you just, after that period of time, you kind of know each other so well. You have to be willing to sort of like share the secrets, maybe not in what you guys are doing in this particular program, but if any of you do have people that you're in like long-term mentoring relationships with, it is a very personal thing that involves a lot of trust, and that's important.
Thanks. Brilliant.
I think Denise maybe put her hand up for something there, did she?
Oh, no, it was just more of a comment, really, just because of the nature of this program, being that the mentors are working in a certain way and have been brought in by the two, IDP and DLDC, so it's slightly different. But just, I suppose, just to get feedback from the groups I've been chatting to, they really appreciate the mentor role, and it's morphed into something else because of the current COVID-19 crisis that we're all living in. So just to acknowledge that I think there's a real recognition that mentors are doing it's gone a bit further because of the nature of how this project kicked off just as the COVID-19 kicked off. So these have been, from what I've heard, these have been a great support to people as well as they go into this whole new space, so just to say that.
I mean, I guess I might have a question here that I don't know if Shauna or Karen want to answer this, but do the organisations or the people that are receiving the mentoring, are they in a group with each other? Because often when it's business mentoring, they may, one part of it is the mentor, but the other part of it is asking each other questions.
Yeah, we have, Inishowen has a network that meets, well, they met a few times a year physically, but they have been meeting weekly online every Thursday morning. And that, I think the peer-to-peer piece has been really useful for them in terms of tips for just even operating day to day and how to work with staff and the remote piece. So that's been quite useful. Also emotional support, because they've been some groups in particular have been really physically and mentally exhausted with the whole community response that they've been at the front line. So even that kind of a bit of TLC was noted last week at last week's meeting. I might hand over to Shauna because Shauna has attended the meeting, so she might have picked up on something else. Is it, okay, Shauna?
Yeah, I suppose we certainly think that networking is really important for this sector, especially, and it's kind of taking up on what Caroline was talking about there. And oftentimes it's people behind the scenes who are working and kind of they don't want to take credit for things. So I think that the fact that the mentoring is being offered through this program, and we're lucky enough to have the funding for the program, and that you're all on board, which is great. I think that that's it's kind of something that's really supportive and individual for them, which is something they don't often get. They get more of the collective piece. but they don't get the individual one-to-one support where you kind of feel somebody's batting for you. So it's that idea that I suppose that we kind of like about this, and hopefully will be the outcome from it, that you're kind of narrowing it down. So it's not the general queries or it's not the general issues that are coming up. It's something that's specific to you, and it's given them that time to, and I think a lot of time in this sector, this particular project, you have, say, managers and workers within an organization, and then there's a board that they report to. So for the most part, we're seeing that it's the managers that we're dealing with. Not all of them, but for the most part, it's kind of the manager that's kind of there. So, you know, they're often kind of caught in that space between the clients that they're delivering for, plus their board, and knowing that they're living within that community. So it's a funny kind of a space to be. So this is kind of being able to give an opportunity that they get listened to, and they can actually air their own kind of issues without being judged in a way. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think going back to Enda's question as well, actually, sometimes it's good if there is somebody else that's in the bigger cohort that is able to kind of tell everybody else how they have done something that was tricky or that was quite hard to do. And like marketing, looking at Evelyn there, but marketing would be something that a lot of people do really struggle with. I used to find that with the Back for Business cohorts, that, you know, if there was somebody in the group that was really good at digital marketing, to maybe just let them take one of the round tables and explain to everybody in great detail how they'd gone about building their online business or whatever it was that they'd done, because that's information on a peer-to-peer basis is like gold dust.
Yeah, thanks, Mary. That's we have considered that too, and so there are some that are very experienced in a field, and they are willing to share. It's just getting the forum. I think events overtook us in some respects, so that is something we would like to look at further. I might bring John in to say about the networking, the events that we're planning. John.
Sorry, Shauna, which ones are you talking about?
The online events, the way we're to do the networking. Mary asked about the events, the peer-to-peer network.
Yes.
Saying about the.
So at a DLDC level, we're doing it based on what are called CSP organizations. So organizations who are receiving funding from Pobl. So there's a network in DLDC for that. But I think also as part of this, we have to use, like, there was due to be a SESI or Social Enterprise Support Initiative network set up so that they could peer-to-peer learn. Mainly, I mean, one of the key benefits of it being that if you realize that the challenges you face as an organization are not unique to you as a social enterprise, it takes a lot of weight off you. And we definitely found that in the first session. So just, again, we'll probably be using technology to do that, but that'll happen over the next couple of months as well.
Okay, thank you, John. Okay, anyone else? Questions or comments?
I'm just posting up my links here, actually.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So guys, if you can click on those links, because the chat, once that goes, they'll be gone. So if you just click through, then you can save them on your desktop then. Okay. In terms of this network, this forum, this was an unintended outcome, I suppose, of this project. We started, we met 2 weeks ago and looked at some tools, and now we're looking at, I suppose we brought in a keynote speaker. It would be really valuable for us to know, you know, what you think of this forum, whether it's worth continuing, and if we do continue it, how do we continue it? What, you know, we need to make it purposeful and of value. So I suppose what we want to do is build the capacity of the community groups through you guys as much as we can. So all comments, I can send an evaluation after the meeting today, and all honest and all feedback would be really useful. Okay. Yeah, Evelyn?
Yeah, hi everybody. I suppose I'm really into networking, and up until 2 weeks ago, I was very much, as I said, the cup of coffee and a piece of cake, and I avoided this like plague. I have 7 Zoom networking calls in my diary for this week. I'm networking with Mayo today. I'm networking with Mayo tomorrow. I did a Zoom training with Monaghan, and so I suppose the thing is that networking really is where it's at. You know, it's like everything comes from that, and we can all help. So from my point of view, this is brilliant, because already I'm hearing things, I'm hearing language, I'm making notes of things people are saying, and I'm finding it brilliant from a networking. So I certainly would love to keep going, whatever form.
I really agree with what Evelyn's just said. I think that networking is the starting point for pretty much most things. And if you're going to be like a super mentor for people, one of the things that they'll be looking to you for is an ability for you to open some doors for them and to give them some hints and tips about things that they should be doing in order to grow their own networks. So I think that's a really key point. And like you, Evelyn, I'm doing loads of my networking online through Zoom calls over the past few weeks. And it's great because you can get through a lot more of them than you can by having to go and get on a plane and go to London. So it's brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay, that's brilliant. Thank you, Evelyn. Brian?
Yeah, so I was going to suggest maybe starting with the Active and Ashone Social Enterprise Network. I'm a member of the Northern Social Enterprise Network, Social Enterprise Northern Ireland, and just over the last week and a bit, we've been doing a lot of kind of online networking around the current situation. But going forward, I think they're going to use it as a networking platform, because yes, although they're a Belfast-based organisation, they have members right across the north. But all their networking events seem to be kind of events in and around Belfast. But it may be something in the future to tie in with them. Yes, it's a cross-border thing, but at the same time, a lot of the issues and a lot of the challenges that organisations and social enterprise face are quite similar. So it may be something that you may consider in the future whenever things kind of settle down with the current virus situation.
Okay. Thank you, Brian. And Brian, can I just ask, in terms of the network, is that you coming from your social enterprise that you're in, or do you see that as a role where the mentors would be involved if they wished, maybe?
Well, see, to be honest, we're as an organisation, we're a member of Social Enterprise Northern Ireland, so they're the lobbying body for social enterprises across the north. So I'm sure they do some stuff with Chris Gordon in the south, but at the same time, if there was an active social enterprise network in Ashone or Donegal, then I'm sure they would be happy for them to be involved.
Okay. That's definitely something we'll look at and follow up on. Yeah. I'm looking to Shauna. That's good. Thank you.
I can do the introductions, I suppose. We were recently, and I suppose we took a few organisations over to the national conference in Oldham there a month or two ago. So I can do the introductions there with Amanda and with Colin.
Perfect. That's great. Thank you.
Could I just clarify on that, Brian, then? So you think that that's probably an opportunity both for the mentors if they wish to be involved in that, but also for the social enterprises, or are you thinking specifically around the social enterprises?
Probably in this case, Sean, it's probably the organisations. Just knowing the current membership makeup of Social Enterprise Northern Ireland. But again, they're in the current kind of networking platform, there may be mentor. But I suppose sometimes a lot of these organisations, we act as mentorees or mentors in programs, but we're also sometimes mentorees in some respect, because we all sit on boards of charities as trustees and board members and stuff like that. So again, back to what Mary says, that peer support and learning, we can take it kind of between organisations and the organisations we're working with or involved with.
Yeah, and I think back to what Mary was saying as well, where we all feel like we're both parties are learning.
Yeah.
So that certainly is, I mean, every day is a learning day, as we say. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Brian.
Yeah.
And I would just offer that, you know, if any of you need anything, I'm here. You'll find me on LinkedIn. I'm all over the internet. You can't get away. Drop me a line if there's anything or that you need, or if any of you, if I could help you with any of your companies or whatever. That I'm just here.
That's brilliant. Thank you, Mary. That's very generous, and we're very grateful today for Mary's time. She just contacted and said, I'm here, I'm available, use me. So of course we said yes. So anything else before we wrap up? No? Okay. Well, come here. I would like to say a massive thank you on behalf of DLDC and Inishowen Development Partnership to Mary for offering her time. It was really insightful, I found. And yes, there are some limitations with us working within a funded program, but that's, you know, that's where we are, and the fact that we're building this network both within the social enterprise and the mentors is really good. I'm going to hand you back to Shauna just to do a final wrap up. Mary, is there anything you'd like to add?
Oh, any of you need anything from me, I'm here, and give me a shout.
Okay, thank you.
To help.
Okay, Shauna.
Okay, yeah, just I think, Karen, you said everything that I'd like to say. Just again, thank you so much, Mary, for your generosity of spirit and offering your expertise to us. We're very lucky to have your time, so thank you for that. I really appreciate it. And thanks to everybody here on the table too for your support so far on this project, and look forward to building that relationship, and hopefully it will be beyond this program, is what I would hope, with all of you. So thank you again for your time, and thanks very much to Karen and John for organising this session. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you everybody for the good work that you do. You know, the Northwest is our responsibility, and it's up to us to make it a fantastic place to live and to grow a business and to have a business and all those other things. So, you know, I'm always willing to help anybody out that's doing that.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay,
Nice to meet you all.
Okay, great start to a
Bye.
Monday. Okay.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.